Alrighty, VDL people, this is Sakimoto 24 here, and I'm going to be talking about VDL VCreate. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about my season 6 team, because I got kicked out by my own brother. My own brother beat me in the my own flesh and blood beat me in the quarterfinals? Yeah, the quarterfinals. I had a lot of fun with this team. I just want to kind of do one of those post-season team reviews to talk about. I just really appreciated this team. I want to talk about what I thought was cool about it, what was good, what was bad, how it worked, some of the combos. I thought it was really interesting. It wasn't like any other team I've ever had. So I guess my team is on the screen. So I had Moltres, Galar, Bronzong, Politoed, Raiku, Jagalgi, Fungus, Gardevoir, Dugtrio, Polywrath, Mantine, and Purloin. This team was so cool, and it was so fun to prep with. It wasn't perfect, though. So I guess I'll go through each mon individually and talk about what they were good at. So Moltres was awesome. I don't know, what was his record? His record was, let's see, 18-6, or that was his KD, not his record. His KD was 18-6. Pretty dang awesome. I brought it 11 times. It was just such a good Pokemon. I love this Pokemon so much. It's my favorite legendary bird. It was great because the standard set that everyone usually would run, like Hurricane, maybe Air Slash, but Hurricane, since I have Rain, is kind of nice, and that's one of the reasons I drafted Moltres, because I thought it'd be nice, and it's bulky. So it doesn't have to be a hyper offensive option. It can be like a bulky threat where I can do nasty plots, and I'm always threatening that. And then with Berserk boost and Fire Wraths, I can get real damagey real soon. 90 is a good speed tier. I just think this is a good Pokemon overall. Dark type's really good. I really liked it, and I wanted a flying type that could abuse Hurricane. It could abuse the Rain with Hurricane, so that's what I got. It's part of the reason I got this Pokemon, but this is like the standard set that people are probably familiar with Moltres, and that's the set. Like when I was playing against people, I knew they were going to have to prep for this typically, but I had a lot of success running like physical Moltres, just to catch people off guard, especially when they I ran Life Orb Sucker Punch I think a couple times, and that whacks. Our attack is only 85 base, but if you run, I think you get up to 150, you run max adamant. So yeah, 150. So 150 attack, Life Orb Sucker Punch, stab. It's gonna hurt. I really liked that. And if you got a boost too, I had options to coaching, to howl, to do other things. I could do weakness policy if I wanted to. That's a little harder, but I had a lot of success with that. Just catching people off guard, and with the physical Moltres sets, I think it's very underrated. You can also run Steel Wing. I don't know. There's some funky stuff I want to do with Moltres, but mainly it's just a strong Pokemon that people have to prep for. And I thought it did really well on this team. There's honestly not much more to say about it. I think it performed really well. So next Pokemon I want to talk about is Bronzong. I'm just going to go down this list, actually. Bronzong was such a key player on this team, and I don't know if it shined as much as... I don't know that it looked like it shined as much as I thought it did. Because... So this Pokemon, if you look at my team, Freeze Dry hits my team really hard. Bronzong was my only real Freeze Dry switch in. Legitimately was. It was my only Freeze Dry switch in. And it did really well on this team because, on a Rain team, you can run, so I could run Levitate. I could also switch into Moltres or Mantine, like if I was scared of a ground attack, but I could... So that was some nice synergy there. But, in the rain, I don't even have to run Heat Poof. I can run Levitate in the rain, and then, there's fire and ground weaknesses, mitigated. And then the only other things I'm weak to would be Dark and Ghost, and those are both... Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, Dark and Ghost. And those are both bad against Moltres, so I could switch in a bulky Moltres for that. So Bronzong did really well on this team. I think it fit really nicely. And I think... the only thing I will say about Bronzong is I think this mon was perfect on this team, but I think Bronzong enabled my team more than my team enabled Bronzong to do things. And that sounds weird because I just said, the rain and the switch ins is really helpful for Bronzong. But Bronzong was my only like really good Trick Room setter, and I just feel like I had to rely on it for a lot of switch ins, and because of that, I couldn't. It was sort of restricted in its role, if that makes sense. It was trying to cover too much. It was trying to set up and be a defensive wall at the same time. It's also trying to support my other Pokemon. It's also trying to set Trick Room. It's also my only Steel type that can hit fairies and things like that. It was trying. It wanted to do too much, and my team couldn't help it out in certain occasions, if that makes sense. But it was great. I mean, it was so good on this team. If I went up against a really fire or sun heavy team, I could run heat proof and rain, and then I'm never dying to that. I could run heat proof, rain, and weakness pulse or something crazy like that. I don't know. I ran various sets on this Pokemon. Like, the reason I liked it too is because I drafted this Pokemon really early because I thought it would be so good on this rain team. Like I said, its ability is great. You could run like Iron Defense Body Press stuff, so I would do like protect, and you could just go Trick Room, or you could even go or you could even do something similar like this, but you could go Calm Mind, and then instead of Protect or Trick Room, you could sub one of those out for like Flash Cannon or Stored Power. This is a set I really wanted to run this season, mainly this with leftovers. This is a set I really wanted to run because Bronzong is really bulky, like it's super bulky, and it's Psychic might not be the best defensive type, but Steel is. And I don't know. This is a set I wanted to run. I also wanted to run some stuff. Like, there were times during the season where I actually considered like Choice Spec Steel Beam, and then Bronzong would just tank a hit, turn one, and then blast something. I think that actually could have been pretty cool. I don't know. It has screens. This Pokemon has Skill Swap. I used Skill Swap this season. That was fun. I like this Pokemon because it's a defensive Trick Room setter that also has like a decent amount of coverage and like stall potential. So like you never knew what I was going to run. I could run a Weakness Policy Bronzong. I could run Trick Room Bronzong. I could run Setup Bronzong. I could run Hypnosis Blunder Policy Bronzong if I wanted to. Meteor Beam I ran. You could do Power Swap stuff if you need. This Pokemon actually gets Rain Dance and Weather Ball. It actually learns them. They're not even TMs that it learns. It learns Rain Dance and Weather Ball. It's fun fact. Just a lot of cool support that this Mon could do. I just think it was a defensive piece on a team that didn't have a lot of other defensive pieces, and that's the only reason it didn't seem like it shined as much, is because my opponents could prepare for it because they knew it was going to be a tool that I needed. But I loved this Pokemon. I think it fit really, really well on the team. Super necessary Pokemon on this team. Politoed. I can talk about Politoed. Politoed, I did not expect this, but it had 23 kills this season. Did it? It had 23 kills? Yeah, 23 and 16. So it died a lot because I brought it pretty much every game. Brought it 21 times. Way more than anyone else. I didn't realize this Pokemon would be as good as it was. I always liked Politoed. I've always liked rain teams. But I did not realize this Pokemon would be so good. Now I understand why it's like a very high-tiered Pokemon. The cool thing is that I think some people underestimate this Pokemon's power. It's similar to Torkoal, where well, not really, because Torkoal's typically offensive. This Pokemon usually is like a support that enables a Swift Swim user, but I like to use it offensively. I mean, you could go Modest and put a ton of special attack and then go like Muddy Water or Weather Ball, and that stuff hurts because you're in the rain. And I never got to run it, but I did this in VGC, run Choice Specs Politoed, and Choice Specs Muddy Water in the rain hurts people. It hurts their feelings. It's so powerful, but I don't know. This Pokemon was mainly just a rain setter who could also do a lot of damage. Also gets Parasong. I think it was pretty simple. The sets I ran were pretty simple. I mean, you could run like Sash Endeavor, but that's really not that great, honestly. You could do Encore as a supportive move. It gets Helping Hand. It gets Haze. I never actually ran Haze because I was probably going for setup myself. It gets Icy Wind, nice support move. It gets lots of good support moves. I think a lot of people are familiar with what this mon does. But I thought Politoed was great on my team. What I liked about it is I didn't even have to rely on my Swift Swim users. I just used this Pokemon offensively and just threw it out there and did damage. I thought it was really good. I don't know. There's not really much more to say about Politoed, honestly. Everybody knows what it does, and I thought it was a good piece. It's Rain Setter on a Rain team. And that's pretty much it. Raiku. Raiku is awesome. It was my first pick. I thought Raiku was really well used last season, and so I wanted to pick it up, and I just kind of went from there. I picked up Raiku, and then I was like, screw it. I'm going to get Politoed and make a Rain team. Let's do it. This was a Pokemon similar to the Bronzong, where like it had to carry so many burdens when I was prepping. It had to carry me so many burdens. It was my like only really good electric switch in, because I mean I have Jagalgi and I have Fungus for electric switch-ins, but they just a lot of the time I didn't want those Pokemon to take unnecessary damage. But Raikou was insanely good, mainly as a support. Like, I ran Bulldoze for speed control a couple times, and that worked insanely well because, I mean, it's somewhat unexpected. But it's actually pretty defensive. Like, 75 base defense isn't great, obviously, but like you can just pump up the stats a little bit, run something, I don't know. Then it gets pretty bulky. I mainly love this Pokemon because his speed tier is amazing. Like, 115 speed tier is fantastic, and 115 special attack is pretty strong. So like I think what was good about this Pokemon is it couldn't be faked out because it had inner focus. That's amazing. It's also electric type, which in my opinion is a great defensive typing, because if you run Shuka, then you have no weaknesses, and it's bulky, and you can do things like screens for support. You can do I don't know, I could do a lot of supportive things, but at the same time I could also run like choice specs, or like I ran Scarf a couple times. I could also do like a defensive or offensive set with like Thunder or something. I really wanted to run like Choice Specs Thunder. Wait, what the heck? That was cool. I really wanted to run like Choice Specs Thunder, but it never happened. Yeah, I thought this Pokemon was great. A lot of times you wanted a lot more moves than you're able to run. Like, it gets Snarl, which is great. And this Pokemon was great on my team because like, well, it was my only Snarl. Well, Moltres gets Snarl, but it was like a good, really good, just like upfront Pokemon. Because although my team has like a lot of upfront offense with like the Rain mode, it doesn't have the most upfront support. Like, my only fake out user is Purloin, and that's pretty frail. And even with Eviolite, it's pretty frail. And I don't have a Ghost type, so I really don't like fake out matches because so Raikou was a great Pokemon to throw out and just lead and put on pressure, because I could, like I said, I could Bulldoze for speed control. I could set screens for defense. I could just launch off an attack. I don't know. I mean, it enabled a lot of my team. This Pokemon enabled a lot. And opened up opportunities. Raikou Gardevoir is actually a super good lead for me this season because, like, I could run Helping Hand Gardevoir with like a Raikou, and then if my opponent led Fake Out, I could either protect Gardevoir, or I could just go for Helping Hand and guarantee, I could whack something instead of just taking a Fake Out for no reason. And Gardevoir gets Telepathy, so I could do Telepathy Bulldoze, I could do Telepathy Discharge. It was a really good combo that I liked. If I Bulldoze for speed control, Gardevoir's faster than pretty much anything Dragapult or slower. So yeah, that was a nice combo. I really liked that combo. And there was a nice lead because a lot of the time, my opponent's going to have to prep for this Rain mode. They might not double down on their prep for the Rain mode, but they're going to have to be somewhat prepared for it. So just leading something completely different like Raikou Gardevoir was really nice for me. And that came in handy a lot. I don't know. Overall, really, really big fan of Raikou. I would definitely draft it again. Definitely would draft it again. I think it did really well. Yeah, I found myself using it more as a defensive tool than an offensive, though. That's one thing I will notice, and I think it could have been a little more offensive. Maybe if my team had other supports that could function sort of like Raikou, then Raikou could flex more as an offensive piece. But yeah, it was just super, just upfront support. Just general Pokemon that my opponent doesn't want to see on the field. It just sits there and does annoying things. So yeah. Next Pokemon is Jagalgi. I mainly drafted this Pokemon. I don't have much more to say than this. I drafted it for a different type of coverage. Well, than Rain. Like, I wanted more special, like more spread damage and more like high offense outside of the Rain mode. And this was a good Trick Room Pokemon because everybody knows this thing whacks with adaptability. So I wanted my goal was to have sets where I could threaten, a Trick Room setup with Bronzong and then something like Life Orb, Sludge Wave, Jagalgi, which I don't know if I ever really used, but I think sometimes it could have been good. And even though I didn't use it, I think there's sometimes where I probably should have used it and it would have done well. I also wanted to run a sneaky set. Like I really wanted to run this season. Acid Armor, Protect, Toxic, and like an attacking move like probably not Scald. I don't know. One other attacking move, maybe like Dragon Pulse or something, or I don't know. Not a poison move because it could get walled super hard by steel types, but maybe, I don't know, maybe Focus Blast. I don't know. Icy Wind could, I don't know. Shadow Ball. Let's just say this is it. I have no idea. But I really wanted to run a set like this because like look at this. If you run this set right here, dude. Like something like in Trick Room, I don't know. Like if you run that, like, and you could even run, I guess you could run Poison. I mean, you really wouldn't necessarily want to run these because you would want to Toxic them instead. But you probably want to still run Adaptability. But like if you get an Acid Armor boost, you essentially have 4 times defense and close to 4 times special defense. And then you're really high. I mean, your HP isn't really high, but you invest all your EVs in HP and then you have leftovers. Dude, this could have been like a wall killer. This could have been a good set. And I almost ran it a couple times. I think I almost ran it against... I forget who it was. But yeah, I really like the set. But this Pokemon honestly just hits hard. It's a good grass switch in. That's one of the other reasons I drafted it. Really good grass switch in. Although I didn't really get to use it like that. Because most of the time I'm going rain mode. I'm going fast mode. And if I'm switching it for Jagalgi, it's super slow. So even though it tanks grass moves, then the next turn it's like, well, what am I doing? Unless Trick Room's up, Not the weirdest scenarios, but I guess not the most insanely ideal. But yeah, this Pokemon, I mean, it did pretty well when I brought it. I just didn't end up bringing a lot. I ended up bringing other stuff. But I really liked it on my team. Yeah, I just wanted pretty much a Trick Room sweeper that would be good with Bronzong. That's the main reason I got it. And I thought it was good. Fungus. Fungus was, honestly, an underperformer. Fungus did win me a match or two, I think. Yeah, definitely won me a match or two in certain matchups, but and then in other matchups just looked horrible. And that was something else about my team is like I said earlier, like I felt like Bronzong was like carried all the burdens as a defensive piece, and it really did. Like Raiku was really good, but Raiku was mainly like a lead, something I would throw out up front, and then Bronzong would be in the back as a defensive switch in. Like Fungus plays the role of a support. That's what it does. It's supposed to be a decently bulky, either or like a sash support, like Eviolite or sash support. But like it never looked that good on Team Preview, and I just didn't end up using it. So it's just another support tool that was kind of just not really utilized. And then Bronzong had to carry more of that weight as a support. But I think there was a couple matchups where I thought about running just Fungus Bronzong, setting up Trick Room, and then going like having Jagalgi in the back. I think that could have been really strong. And I think that was something that was good about this team. Like I could easily bring 6 Pokemon to Team Preview and have a fairly strong Trick Room mode as well as a fast mode. Like let's say I bring like the 6 I bring are Fungus, Bronzong, Jagalgi, as Trick Room, good Trick Room mods. Politoed's decent in Trick Room too, honestly. So I could bring Politoed, and then I could bring like, I don't know, Raiku and like Polywrath or something. Then I have a decent fast mode with like Raiku, Polywrath, Politoed, and then like maybe a Fungus or a Bronzong. But then I could also run a Trick Room, and it's just probably something that's annoying for my opponents to have to deal with. So, but yeah, Fungus. It just like wasn't as bulky as I thought it'd be, honestly. I mean, these stats are so low. Like you could see Eviolite, but what am I gonna be at? What are my stats gonna be? Something I don't know. And after Eviolite, it's just not that bulky. It's super annoying because obviously I have Spore and Rage Powder, and I needed those. But a grass Rage Powder user, or really any Rage Powder user on a rain team, isn't the best because you can't redirect those grass Pokemon that are trying to whack your water types. So it was like, yeah, I can go for Rage Powder Belly Drum with Poliwrath, but if they have a grass user, they're just gonna whack me, and that's pointless, dumb. So. And then you have safety goggles, they can play around it. So it just never really looked that strong. team preview. I think a more offensive grass type would have been better on this team, so that my opponents couldn't take advantage of my rain. So they couldn't take advantage of the rain and use their own water types. I think that would have been nice. And I think I would have liked like a grass switch in for like to take electric or grass moves. I think I really needed like Fungus is a decently bulky grass type, but I would have preferred something like I don't know, a Gourgeist or a Thwackey or even a Trevenant would have been fine. I think Trevenant would have been great. Something to switch in to take both electric and grass moves, because I just didn't end up bringing Fungus a lot, and then that's one of my electric switch ins that's just not coming again, and so yeah, I think that was hard because I'll talk about this a little later, but it's one of the struggles of my team. But overall, Fungus, just something that was more probably annoying for my opponent to have to prep for. Maybe they tech a safety goggles. I think actually that happened against Uxie. He teched a safety goggles onto an Urshifu, and I didn't even bring Fungus. So, Fungus was doing more on the bench than it probably did on the field. But, it did something, It's still doing something, Gardevoir. Let's see, Gardevoir was, 6 and 7 KD? That sounds about right. I brought it quite a bit. Honestly, I can't even remember why I traded for this Pokemon. I just thought I had really cool support tools, and I wanted to try it out in draft. I didn't expect it to perform as well as it did. I think it performed much better than a 6-7 KD speaks for. So, hold on here. Okay, I thought my OBS settings were. I thought I accidentally forgot to hit record, but I did. Okay, let's stop freaking out. Gardevoir. Fantastic abilities. Trace was awesome. I traced Intimidate against Goomer. It was really helpful. I traced Lightning Rod against Matrix's Raichu. That literally, Gardevoir won me the game one against Matrix, literally single-handedly, essentially, with some of its supportive tech, like Trace, and then it tricked a Choice Scarf. And then Telepathy is an amazing ability. Telepathy, the main reason, honestly, I probably wouldn't have traded. So I initially had Armaldo, which I think Armaldo actually looked really good in some matchups and I really probably could have used it. But I ended up trading for Gardevoir, and I think if this Pokemon didn't get Telepathy, I don't think I would have traded for it, because Telepathy is so good on my team. Like, look what I can do here. I can do Sludge Waves with Jagalgi. I can do Discharge and Bulldoze with Raikou. I can even do stuff like use like Water Absorb, Polywrath or Mantine, run Surf on Politoed, and then also Surf and avoid it with Telepathy Gardevoir. I could do Earthquake and avoid it. Like, literally half my team has moves that hit affect all Pokemon on the field, and Gardevoir just avoids it. I don't know. Telepathy was insane. The only thing I will say is Telepathy does. I figured this out the hard way. It didn't cost me a game. I lost it. I would have lost it regardless. But you can't Rage Powder yourself. Or I'm sorry. You can't Pollen Puff yourself. So I tried to Pollen Puff myself with Fungus, and it didn't work in Gardevoir because it's Telepathy. So something interesting to know. And I wonder if that works with other, like, any really support move. Like, if you want to Swagger yourself, maybe it doesn't work. I don't know. I'm curious now. But yeah, so Telepathy was very easily abused on my team, and I loved it, especially since this Pokemon can like set Trick Room or do Icy Wind stuff. It could function as like a support. It's really cool, and I think that's where Gardevoir came in handy most this season. Is like not just because it has 125 base special attack and can whack things and has good coverage, but its supportive threat was really nice. Like, if you get this thing a defense boost with like a Coaching or a Grassy Seed, like I did against Dan, it just becomes actually freakishly bulky. Maybe not freakishly, but like if you just pump up, like if you give it a Grassy Seed and 100 defense or so, and then you give this, that's a bulky support right there, And so that was kind of nice. And it gets Will-O-Wisp. I did a Hypnosis Blunder Policy set. That was super nice. I liked Hypnosis. What else does it get? It got Destiny Bond. I really liked using Destiny Bond. Encore. I just think the thing about this mon that impressed me was it has power. It has offense. But it also has so much support that it actually offers. And it was so much better than I thought it'd be. Like, you could run a Scarf set with Trick, which I did, which was useful. And you could run, disable Encore. I already talked about those. I guess Heal Pulse gets Helping Hand. I think Gardevoir is one. It might be the only Helping Hand telepathy user. Yeah, the only Pokemon that gets Helping Hand and has telepathy, I think. I could do Icy Wind, I could do Life Dew, I could do Screens, I could do Memento, like I could do a Sash Gardevoir set with Memento, like Mystical Fire. Like, this Pokemon's support is actually busted. Taunt. This is a Taunt user. Like, what the heck? Substitute. Thunder Wave. Like, what? Trick Room. It gets Trick Room. Will-O-Wisp. Charm. Dude, this Pokemon's literally... Growl's not a bad move. Let's be real. Growl's not that bad. Imprison could, I could stop other Pokemon Trick Room. I wanted to do a Scarf, Misty Explosion, and Moltres Weakness Policy, but it just looked more cheesy than it did useful most of the time. I could set Misty Terrain. I thought about, there was a couple of times I almost ran, I think I might have actually ran that set against Masenko. I was going to run, against an Amoonguss, I was going to run Misty Terrain with Misty Seed, because... I couldn't be Spored, and I get a special defense boost, and I couldn't be hit by Poltergeist. So that was a set that I really was a fan of this season. It gets Rain Dance too. It's just, this Pokemon support is actually insane. That's what I love about this Pokemon, and its abilities. On top of its move pool, its abilities are insane. Like, everything here is great. It's so good. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it. This Pokemon was freaking bonkers on my team, in my opinion. I thought it would played really well. It did so much better than I thought it would. I would definitely draft Gardevoir again. And like I was saying, that Raikou Gardevoir lead is actually pretty good because, I could run the Bulldoze, or I could do, like, the flexibility there was awesome. That's what I loved. Like, I could run the Bulldoze and Discharge set with the telepathy. And then if my opponent led something that looked bad into that, I could go for that. I could go Bulldoze and then whack him with Gardevoir, or I could just go Discharge and do some other move with Gardevoir. I could do, if I was really afraid of, if they have Fake Out, well, they can't Fake Out Raikou, they got to go for Gardevoir, so that's when I go for that Helping Hand, Thunderbolt or something, or Helping Hand Aura Sphere, or I don't know. It just, those two together were awesome. Like, it was a surprisingly really strong lead, especially because there's both these Pokemon that can run so many things, and they have offense. So you don't know what tricks are they going to do, or are they just going to blast me with the Life Orb stuff? Like, I don't know. It was a really, really versatile lead. I was a big fan. So good job, Gardevoir. Yeah, very much enjoyed playing it as well. Doug Trio, I brought it once. It died. It survived one turn on the field. Actually, it didn't survive one turn on the field. It spent one turn on the field. It died. It went down. It didn't do anything the rest of the season. I wanted to use it a lot. And it's crazy. I drafted it. So I thought a ground type was necessary on this team because, well, it could abuse Discharge stuff from Raikou, but also it could... Earthquake with Gardevoir could have been really good. I just wanted an electric switch in mainly, or something that could threaten electric Pokemon. But I don't think Doug Trio was the answer I was looking for. Like, Doug Trio, it's too frail to use as a defensive tool. Like, again, I drafted these like hyper offensive Pokemon, but my team, I feel like, wanted to play a more like pivoty game with the rain and stuff like that. So it just didn't fit really well on my team. The one thing, like, I want to have a pretty fast and threatening team. That's why I got it, because like Arena Trap, you can do some stuff with Arena Trap, and I don't know, come up with some tricky strategies with that. Like I essentially could, force my opponent to not be able to switch out into a Weather Setter if they were trying to reset my weather, and then I could switch into my Weather Setter safely and do Swift Swim stuff. So that was something I thought would come in handy more than it actually did. I didn't use it at all. But it does get some good stuff. It just didn't fit on my team. Like, it gets a lot of ground coverage. Obviously, it gets some supportive stuff like Bulldoze. Like, I could do Bulldoze with Gardevoir and Earthquake. That'd be a pretty good set. It gets Memento. It's pretty much outspeeding everything if you Scarf it, which is kind of cool. I could do, I guess, Stealth Rocks. Sucker Punch, I mean, it got some stuff. It just wasn't that good, honestly. It got reversal. I could do sash reversal stuff. I thought about using that. Um, but yeah, just I don't think it was that good on my team. I much would have preferred like something like a Galurk or a Sandaconda, like a more defensive tool that functioned as a switch in, because that's what I initially wanted the ground type for, as a switch in, as a defensive tool, and then I drafted Dugtrio, which is like the worst defensive tool. Um, but I thought the speed tier was too appealing in the arena trap. The thought of using arena trap was something I wanted to try, and I didn't like it because I never used it. Um, yeah, I guess it was just another opportunity for me to get like a more of. I was looking for a defensive tool, I didn't. So again, Bronzong just has to carry that burden of like, okay, I got to be the switch in, I got to be the defensive tool on the team. Um, yeah, but Dugtrio is cool. I like Dugtrio, Doug Bros for life, but yeah, this wasn't that handy. Polywrath. Well, I guess I'll talk about Polywrath and Manton at the same time because they're both my Swift Swim user and they functioned somewhat similarly. So Polywrath, like the main reason I wanted to use it is because I've never ever used Polywrath, never, and I thought it'd be really cool. I think, and something else that you might have noticed about my team, it's very special attack oriented. So max special defense sets kind of were a hard thing for me to deal with. Assault Vest was a great item against me. Snarl was annoying to deal with, so I needed more physical weapons, and I noticed this late in the draft, and that's a big reason I got Polywrath. I thought about getting Kabutops or Kabutops, whatever. That might have been better. That was one of the hardest decisions of my draft, is which one of those do I draft. But I ended up getting Polywrath, and it was okay. I want to be honest, it was okay. The problem with Polywrath is that it was my only physical attacker. So my opponents could prep a ton of things against me for it. Like they could, fairy coverage hits it, flying, electric, grass, psychic, like expanding force just rocks it. I mean, there's a lot of things that people could hit this with, and they knew it was most likely my only physical attacker on my team. So they would just get rid of it and then just throw out specially bulky mons, and they'd be a pain. Like Goomer did, and against me, like I didn't even bring Polywrath in game 3, and Amnesia Swampert just kind of walled my team, and like that was a big weakness in my team. I just needed more physical threats. But what I did like about this Pokemon is like it had some cool setup options that I really liked. Like I thought Bulk Up Polywrath actually looked really threatening a lot of the time. I think having 3 water types isn't that big of a deal. I think not having a fire type and not having a strong grass type were not that big of a deal, not having that core, but having 3 water types, I don't know how good that really was. I mean, they all had different roles that they could kind of fulfill at times. Mantine for Tailwind, Poliwrath is a good physical attacker, close combat user, could set up. Also had some support tools, and Polytip, we've already talked about it. But the problem is my opponent's always going to bring, like in Dugtrio doesn't look that great, so my opponent's always going to bring electric coverage. Like, they're always going to bring it. And it's hard to play around because I know they're bringing it, and they're going to whack my Swift Swim users really hard. So it was just harder it just made it harder on my team when it was so easy for my opponents to run electric coverage and not get punished very hard for it. And my main defensive piece, Bronzong, it still takes neutral damage to electric, so it wasn't even like amazing. But I think 70 speed tier was interesting on my team because I could also I could run it in Trick Room if I wanted to. I could mix it up and run it in Trick Room, or I could run it, just like if you just run 84 speed, you're outspeeding base 130s in the rain. So you're outspeeding Spectra, you're outspeeding I don't know, a lot of Pokemon, which was kind of nice. And this Pokemon was really bulky. That's what I liked about it. 95 attack isn't super high, but 90 HP and 95 defense and 90 special defense, pretty nice. So I could run something like a leftover set with bulk up, and then with these stats, I don't know. I probably didn't have to run attack, but I could run some special defense. I could run something like this. I think I literally ran a set almost exactly like this one sometime this season. I ran a leftover set with bulk up, and this looks great. If you can get a couple bulk ups, you're gonna be very tanky, very bulky, and you're gonna hit pretty hard. And you could use drain punches. I think the thing that Poliwrath struggled with again was that my Pokemon were or my opponents could prep for it really easily, and then take out my only physical attacker, and it felt like Poliwrath had to carry all the weight of physical offense on my team, and that was just something my opponents could abuse. On top of that, it's like you get instant speed control with Swift Swim, but it didn't utilize it that well because like if you don't run like a Life Orb or Choice Band, this thing is not gonna get like one hit knockouts that easily. Even with those items, it doesn't. Like Choice Band, Waterfall, really in the rain can knock out some frailer Pokemon, but it's not taking out everybody. Maybe close combat, maybe a little more threatening. But then again, like I said, you have to run Choice Band. Like maybe Kabutops would have been a little better because it's just stronger, a better hyper offensive option. But I thought this Pokemon was good as just a strong close combat user who could also threaten with like some setup, and it could go for coaching. I thought I'd use coaching more frequently this season, but didn't really come into play. Not a lot of my Pokemon on my team wanted to use coaching, mainly because there's a lot of special attackers. So I don't know. But I think it's a really cool Pokemon. I definitely use it again. I had a lot of fun with it, and I enjoy using it because it's just like OG Poliwrath, and that's kind of cool. But yeah, Mantine functioned more as like its offenses just aren't great. Like 80 special attack in the rain, you can hit pretty hard with like hurricanes, but it's really there's some like interesting stuff you could do. Like I did Keyberry Body Press. You could run Icy Wind. It could be more of a support. Like you could run like Choice Specs Politoed and like Icy Wind or Tailwind Mantine in the rain, and like that could do damage. But most of the time, my opponents were not going to lead something that was going to fall for that. So, yeah, this Pokemon had some cool stuff it could do. It's pretty limited, honestly. Like, it doesn't get that much coverage because it never runs physical coverage because it's just so weak physically. It was just nice having a Tailwind user that was also a Swift Swim user. You know, it's pretty easy to get Tailwind up with it. And aside from getting hit by electric moves, it can be pretty bulky. Like, its special defense is so high. And I wanted a Wide Guard user. That's another reason I drafted. So, Swift Swim abuser, Wide Guard user, Tailwind user, Hurricane user. I thought it'd be good on a rain team, but I don't know. I think I doubled down pretty hard on the rain mode with my team, and it wasn't necessarily always my strongest mode. So, yeah, just a risk. But Mantine and Poliwrath, it was interesting. They were both the same speed. They're both base 70. So that was interesting because if I calced for one, I'd have the same calcs for the other in terms of speed. Base 70 is okay for a Swift Swim user. Like you could still be outsped by some faster Scarf mons with Scarf. Even if you're max speed in the rain, I think you get up to like what? It's like 134, I think. Yeah, 134. So, I mean, well, you're looking at 268. That's pretty damn fast. But I think, like, Scarf Raikou outspeeds this. Max speed Scarf Raikou can outspeed this. So anything like Raikou, near Raikou speed or above can outspeed. Which sometimes, I mean, I was scared of it sometimes. But, yeah, it was okay. This Pokemon was okay on my team. It had some other good synergies, like it could Dugtrio could Earthquake under it. What the heck? What happened there? But I mean, I didn't end up using that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the synergy wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but I wanted another option for a Swift Swim user, and that's the main reason I got Mantine because it like had some supportive tools, has Tailwind that my opponents have to prep for, and then they don't always have to prep for Poliwrath in the rain. They have to prep also for Mantine, so it's probably annoying. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I got it. I wanted flexibility in the rain for my team, but that being said, it didn't provide like type flexibility. Like electric can still hit either one of my Swift Swim abusers. So I don't know. It was okay. I liked it for tier 5 steal, absolute steal. It just didn't come out as much as I wanted to. It did have the best KD on my team, 4-0. It's pretty nice. Anyways. I'll move on to talk about Purloin, the last Pokemon on my team. Here's what I'll say about Purloin. I wanted Purloin to do more because, like I said, I wanted more support on my team. Supportive tools, and Prankster's fantastic, especially on a weather team. The thing about Purloin is like some matchups it didn't look that good because it was my only fake out user, so anytime I wanted to flowchart with fake out, I had to bring Purloin. And if my opponent also brought fake out, there was a pretty good chance they were going to outspeed my fake out user. So it just made it really awkward. And then also, if they could fake me out, I'd maybe then I want to run protect, and then if I'm running protected fake out, I only have 2 other slots for support moves, and that's and then that would also mean that my only damaging move is fake out, which sometimes you don't want to run. So it was hard. I think this Pokemon was great. I think this Pokemon, like Bronzong, it felt like it was alone in what it did, and not the other Pokemon on my team weren't really helping it out. Like, the fact that this was only my only fake out user was just kind of made it awkward. And like, if you're bringing Purloin just for fake out, that's not enough. It needs to do more than that, and that can't be the sole reason you're bringing it. It doesn't justify bringing this Pokemon, I think. But with Eviolite, it could get decently bulky. Not that bulky. You could run Sash too. But what I will say about Purloin is, when this Pokemon did look good in a matchup, this Pokemon did very well. Like, some of my matches, this Pokemon just like enabled so much. Fake Tears, amazing on this team. Rain Dance, I could do Rain Dance. I could do sneaky stuff like even set Sunny Day and then go for Weather Balls. I have three Pokemon in my team get Weather Ball. So, I'm going against Grass Pokemon. I could, go for a sneaky Sunny Day Weather Ball. And then I could do stuff like that. I mean, Encore is so good in Series 10, obviously. I never used Foul Play, but I think that's a good move. I think when Foul Play's Stab, it's pretty nice. Sucker Punch came in handy. It gets Taunt. People know what Purloin does. It just does a lot of supportive things I think were good for the team. But I think, like, my opponents had the capability to prep for it, and then they didn't have to worry about my other supports. I think, like I said, if they're prepping against Fake Out, they only have to prep against the Purloin Fake Out. They don't have to prep against anything else. So I think that was something that inhibited Purloin from being that good, being that its individual flexibility within itself was pretty good. Like, it could run a lot of different supportive sets, and I think it enabled a lot on this team. I don't know that this team helped Purloin as much, if that makes sense. Similarly with Bronzong, I think Bronzong was a very good piece for this team. I don't think this team helped Bronzong be as successful, aside from like the rain and a couple nice switch-ins. But it felt like in some matchups that Purloin did look good in. It felt like if it didn't get to do what it wanted to, it was really hard. And I felt like I was forced to rely on it a lot in certain matchups. So, and it felt like sometimes I couldn't do that, so I just didn't even bring it. But I think it was a really good Pokemon. Very, very, very good Pokemon. When it worked really well. That's what I'll say. And it did get a kill. Love it. Got a kill. Got as many kills as Jagalgi. So yeah, that's all the individual Pokemon on my team. Just a couple other notes. Like I said, very special attacky team. I think the weaknesses on the team are they were too special attack oriented. I think probably having 3 water Pokemon is too much when you don't have a good switch-in for electric and grass. I have a decent amount of grass switch-ins, but electric was a problem since I never really wanted to bring Dugtrio. I think like having a really bulky, like a bulky grass type or something that could switch in for grass or electric would be really nice. And a Pokemon that could do more than Fungus. Because like I said, when Fungus didn't look good in a matchup, I just couldn't bring it. And then since I wasn't bringing it, I didn't have switch-ins for my water types. And then that made it harder on my water types. There's just some weird synergy, like weird things about this team that just made it, like, it looks pretty good. And you might not see this like right off the bat, but yeah, it's... Fungus and Dugtrio I put in that category of like they wanted to fulfill things on the team, but when they didn't really fulfill those roles as well as I wanted them to. Like, Dugtrio did not fulfill the role of the ground type that I wanted, which was more of a defensive tool. And then Fungus, just Rage Powder, not very good on a water-based team. And I just couldn't. it couldn't be the sole switch in for grass and electric. Like I just couldn't. I don't know. I think Gardevoir is a sleeper on this team. Right. I think Gardevoir, Raiku, like one thing I will say is that like outside of my rain mode, I had some pretty good little. Won't call them cores, but they're close. Like Bronzong, Moltres, and Gardevoir were really nice together because, mainly Moltres and Bronzong because if anytime they're going for a ghost or a dark move, I could switch into Moltres. And then, I could run, if I was really scared of fire types and they had a lot of like weather control, I could run Heat Proof. And then, but then I can't run Levitate. So then I could switch into Moltres if needed. So that was some nice synergy. I really liked that. I really wanted to run like Trick Room and then Rock Tomb and the Weakness Policy Moltres this season, but I didn't end up bringing that. That was a combo I could have done. I don't know. And then Gardevoir obviously hits the dark types really well. So that's nice for Bronzong. And then Moltres covers the ghost types just super well. Like as a switch in, but also offensively covers the ghost types. So that was really nice. They helped each other out. And I could run like Levitate Bronzong and then, switch in for Raiku if I was scared of like a high horsepower earthquake. I'd do stuff like that. I don't know. I forget what I was gonna say about Gardevoir and this little trio, but these mons were actually pretty good. Like Moltres, Bronzong, Gardevoir, and you could also put Raiku in there. Like those 4 at Team Preview almost always looked good. Like there's some matchups obviously that could, we're just like this is horrible for this Pokemon, but no, it just I don't know. Those worked really well. I think the Raiku being my only. Raiku was so good because it was my only Pokemon immune to Fake Out, but being that, my opponent could bring Fake Out, but then also bring things that are hard for Raiku to deal with, and it would kind of be hard. Then it'd be hard for my whole team to deal with. So, I don't know. I really liked this team. It was more like a couple other things I'll say about it as far as weaknesses. I wanted to go more of a hyper offensive mode. I didn't want to rely on that. Like I actually liked pivot. I like pivoting and I like bulk on teams, but I also like having like upfront combos and options. But unfortunately, Fake Out invalidated so many combos. Like my opponent could just like if I led Polywrath and Bronzong or something, and then I wanted to switch the Bronzong out for Politoed and do Swift Swim stuff. Like if I wanted to threaten that, all my opponent has to do is just bring a Fake Out user, and that's donezo. Because they can like Fake Out the Polywrath, and then like with their other Pokemon, they can just change the weather. Or they could, I don't know, whack Politoed or something. I don't know. It was hard to use it in that way. Same thing with Mantine. Like if I wanted to set Tailwind, like they just fake me out. Easy, done. I can't I can't lead a ghost type. I had to rely on Raiku. So Fake Out was a little hard to deal with. I was never able to just like develop many good hyper offensive strats where I could just blow through teams. But I don't know. That was just a weakness of it. Like Doug Trio hates Fake Out too. Gardevoir's pretty frail and doesn't like Fake Out. I just wish some of these Pokemon, like I wish Fugus was a little bulkier, Doug Trio was a little bulkier. If I had a bulkier Fake Out user, that'd be nice. But outside of those, like Moltres pretty bulky, Bronzong pretty bulky, Raiku, they had some nice bulk. So those 4 I was talking about like ended up being like almost like the team core, like the backbone. Moltres, Bronzong, Raiku, Gardevoir. They enabled a lot. And helped each other out. And then, then I could flex Rain Mode. I could flex Trick Room. I could do Purloin stuff. I think kind of that's how I approached a lot of matchups. And I like that Politoed functioned like it could function as like a Parasong threat for like super stally sets because people could run like Amnesia sets and just outstall me or like Calm Mind sets. And that could be really annoying. But like I could just Parasong them. So that was a really nice threat from Politoed. And then I like that it could do a lot of damage and not have to rely on it setting up the Swift Swim users to do the damage. It could just do the damage itself, which I really liked. Weather Ball, Wax. So yeah, I mean, there's more combos I could talk about, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know that they're that super relevant, but I thought, yeah, I think I've covered mostly everything. I really enjoyed using this team. I had fun. I'm sad that I lost because I want to keep using this team, and now they're, I'm not going to get to use them again. But I had a lot of fun, learned a lot of things. Prepping for Fake Out with a team that doesn't utilize Fake Out and also doesn't defend against Fake Out very well is hard. But it was a good learning experience, and I had a lot of fun. This team is really cool. Anyways, I guess that's it. I didn't want to make this video too long. It's already decently long, but yeah, that's all. Thanks for listening and watching or whatever, and peace out, guys.